Hello guys, Gene here with G Squared Tactical. So thankful to be able to acquire this Smith Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. Even more thankful for this beautiful day that the Lord has given us, and thankful to know Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And if you do not, ask me how you can know, because that is way more important than what we're doing here today. But moving on to the gun, and this being probably the single biggest thing that caught me off guard in the gun world this year. And let me explain also, as I promised at the range, for those that just have to know. I tried to cover most of it at the range, but if you just have to know all of the specs and you want me to tell you those, I promised I would. So here I am. Everyone also asks every time, what holster is that you are carrying that in? This is a Versa carry. They did send me this holster along with some others. It looks like it is a PK23. I believe that, I assume that's the model number. PK, that's Paul Kangaroo 23, it looks like. It's kind of hard to see that writing on there, but again, Versa carry, very nice holster. They sent this to me some time ago, and the P938, which has primarily been my pocket carry, would not fit in here. This one fits in here very, very nicely and conceals very nicely in my pocket. So we'll set that over to the side, and I will get right into some of the, lengths, widths, things of that nature. Stuff that people want to know, they always ask. It's a mere 0.88 inches thick. The overall length is 5.5. The height is 4 inches. The weight is a mere 9.8 ounces. It is obviously chambered in 380 micro, of course. You can get it in a California compliant model with just 10 rounds, but it does come otherwise with a 10 round and a 12 round magazine. It is striker fired, whereas the original Bodyguard was hammer fired. Polymer grip, of course, does have a blacked out serrated U-notch rear sight and a tritium filled front sight surrounded in orange, which you know is my favorite setup on the sight. If you've watched the channel for any length of time, it is not optic ready. This one does not have a thumb safety, although you can get a model with the thumb safety. It does have the Armonite finish on the slide, as you're accustomed to on most Smith offerings. It is a very well done finish. I've always liked the finishes on the Smith & Wesson pistols. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I've always liked them. I've dropped one on the concrete several times and did not put a single mark on it or take any of the finish off. So it is a very rigid, tough finish, the Armonite finish is. Again, 2 magazines. We'll talk a little bit about the trigger, maybe not, I'm not sure. I did talk a little bit about it out at the range, and it is a stainless steel barrel. So I think that pretty much covers the pertinent information. So why did it catch me so off guard in the gun world this year? Well, mostly because, as I mentioned out at the range, I always viewed the Bodyguard as the most ineffective, useless pistol on the market. The trigger was horrible. I mean, beyond horrible. It was almost comically horrible and just crazy inaccurate. Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways having the laser on the front of it made it even worse. The model they made with the laser, just completely ineffective. Hated the stupid thing. I owned about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of them, because they was doing rebates, basically giving the things away, and I was waiting a few months and flipping them, and I just didn't like it. Didn't keep one. My wife didn't like it. My kids even got to the point where if I would hand them a small gun, they would say, "This is not like that one with that long trigger that hurt my hand real bad, is it?" And they were referring to that one. So in as much as I thought it was ineffective and just a useless pistol to even own, when they announced that they were releasing a new Bodyguard, I was less than thrilled. There's no way I'm getting it, no way I'm even looking at it. But then when I saw it in picture, realizing that it was striker fired now and not internally hammer fired, realizing that it didn't look anything like the original Bodyguard. In fact, in picture, it looked as though it was a lot bigger than it actually is. So when I got to the store and I looked at it, I'm like, hey, that's the noisy cricket. Like, that thing is tiny. It's unbelievable. Like, I mean, other than maybe a Bond Arms or a, an NAA or something, a little 22, I've never seen a gun this tiny, this minuscule, if you will. There's no way that's going to be fun to shoot. There's no way that's going to be accurate. Heck, there's no way that thing's going to cycle. There's just no way that I'm going to enjoy this gun or even be able to hold it. But surprisingly, as you can see here, even with just the 10 round magazine in there, I'm able to get a 3-finger purchase on this firearm and really get a nice high and tight grip, and even more so get the death grip, if you will, with the 12 round mag in place. I mean, you're talking 12 rounds, actually 13 if one's in the pipe. You got 13 rounds in something that basically, like I said, looks like the noisy cricket. That's what it reminded me of on Men in Black. So I'm like, okay then, all right. Well, feels amazing in the hand. The texturing on the grip is actually perfect. And I've never been a fan of the texturing on Smith polymer frame guns. And you know that if you've watched the channel for any length of time. It is absolutely perfect. It's not too much. It's just right. It doesn't snag on your pants or the fibers will be closed coming in and out of your pocket. It's just right. It has nice memory pads here on each side up towards the front, and it even has some stippling on the takedown lever here to make sure you get a nice purchase on that. The mag release is slightly extended. I don't know, they don't say that it's extended mag release, but I'm able to easily manipulate it and drop the mag without adjusting my grip at all. Again, the mag will catch on the palm of my hand here because, of course, you're going to be riding that with a gun this small. Literally my only beef with the gun, and even after finding this out at the range, even after being at the range and realizing that because of how far this slide lock stuck off of the gun, I was going to be riding it and it was not going to be locking back on the empty magazine. Even after having 3 failure to go back into battery in the first 3 magazines and it being completely flawless since then, that still did not deter me. Okay, I'm not changing my grip, just not gonna happen. I'm gonna shoot how I shoot, but I just don't care that it doesn't lock back because I just enjoyed shooting it that much. I was just shocked at how accurate we shoot at 10, 11 yards, hitting right where I was aiming very quickly, able to acquire the sights. I was just shocked at how accurate this gun was, being so small, how controllable it was with the recoil. That's the thing that actually shocked my wife the most, and just how carryable it is, how concealable it is. It just blew my doggone mind, and that doesn't happen very often. As many guns as I handle, it just doesn't happen very often. So it does have these very aggressive front serrations that, even as tightly sprung as this thing is, you can pretty easily use them. You can really dig in to do your press check, whatever you do. If that's your thing, if that's what you like to do, you can easily manipulate it. It is very heavily sprung. It's definitely not something that someone with issues in that area is going to be able to easily rack the slide, but with a gun this small and this much capacity and as tight as those magazines close into place when they're full, you have got to have something that is sprung that heavily. And so, but once you get it loaded up, get it put in your pocket, and you need it in a defensive situation, none of that's going to matter. 2-piece metal guide rod, no polymer plastic going on here. And the trigger is surprisingly good. I think probably that is not the most surprising thing, but given how bad the original one was, it's pretty doggone surprising just how good this trigger is. It has the center blade safety, of course. It looks very similar to the 2.0 triggers on the 10 millimeter, the more full-size ones they put out. maybe a little different, not sure, but it does have the center blade safety, and it does have a decent amount of take up. But when it hits the wall at 90 degrees, it breaks right there. It's not a rolling break. The reset is pretty much non-existent. It's almost all the way back out. That's how much further you have to go. Once it resets, it's almost all the way back out. So what I found myself doing was slapping the trigger out at the range. People called me out on it. Big whoop, don't care. But that's the most effective way I found of doing it, just letting it all the way back out and essentially just slapping the trigger is what I was doing. The reset, whatever, it's a pocket pistol, carry pistol, who cares? It really doesn't matter on a pistol like this, in my opinion. But just the fact that it hits a wall and breaks right there, like it's not a rolling break, there's no grit in that trigger like there was on the 2.0 10 millimeter, just a super gritty trigger. I think one of them even had a false reset. Nothing like that on this. I really like the trigger. Some would say that the trigger's a little too light, a little too good for a pocket pistol with no thumb safety. But in the right holster, a very rigid holster that you can't put your finger through and pull the trigger, I have no issue with it. I feel perfectly fine with it. I have no fear whatsoever that it's going to go off in my pocket or anything silly like that. So the trigger's good. I like the trigger, like the serrations. I literally like everything about it. Just how deep the beaver tail here is at the back and just aiding and getting that. It's just shocking to me how small this thing is, and I'm still able to get a 3-finger grip on there. And I think that's what aids so much in taming and controlling the recoil on this gun. So if you've thought about it, wondered about it, so I'm gonna wait for the price to come down. If you've been looking for a new pocket pistol, I can highly recommend this. Out of all of the things that Smith has released this year that, as you know, I haven't been incredibly impressed with, this I have been impressed with. In my opinion, and that's all it is just my opinion. I'm not forcing anything on you. I'm not trashing any of the other releases they put out. I'm just saying, in my opinion, out of all of the new pistols they put out this year, this is the one that will probably shock you the most and was probably the best release they done. And I think that's going to be proven to be true in sales and everything else. This is a nice pistol. This is a nice pocket piece. And for all of you guys that have watched the channel for any length of time that knows I've been carrying my P938 exclusively for the past 7 years and said that I would never change that up, I have been carrying this for about the past 5 weeks in my pocket cargo pants every single day. So there you go. I would have never believed starting this year this would have been the one to take the place at all. Not a bodyguard, but I like this gun a lot. Thanks so much for watching. Please consider going over and checking me out on Patreon. I try my best to upload everything over there as well. And consider supporting me monthly. It would help a great deal in buying ammunition, buying guns, because none of this stuff is sent to me for free. I have to buy all of these things. So consider going over there, supporting me on there, and with time, I plan to get some exclusive stuff over there, maybe some blooper videos. I got some pretty good stuff with that, some pretty funny stuff when it comes to that. And also check me out on Rumble. It's a little more difficult to get stuff uploaded on Rumble, but I try my best to keep it up to date as well. And also go over, check out gsquaredtactical.com. Pick up some hats, shirts, gear. We have it all over there. Again, don't make a ton of money, hardly any actually, but it just encourages us that someone would take the time to go over, pick up something, and we really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, be sure to subscribe, and as always, to God be the glory.